Well, fight fans, Gennady Golovkin, aka Triple G, returned to the ring and he wins by knockout over Steve Rolls in the fourth round. Like most of you, I had Gennady winning this fight, and yeah, I did have him winning by knockout. I picked the eighth or ninth round because I thought it would take him a minute to knock the rust off before he got his punches set up just right to get Steve Rolls out of there. Let me start with the positives. Gennady Golovkin, first fight with Jonathan Banks. Uh, he looked he looked a little bit more technical. He still looked like a Golovkin to me in some ways, but I could see a few things that Jonathan Banks might have added to it. He seemed to be a little more patient. He was definitely winging that left hook, not looking for a lot of right hands. That first round, you could see the rust. You know, he was moving, pretty slow. I thought he was looking a little bit, past his best days at first, because he was coming off really slow, not reacting to punches as quickly as he might have a few years ago. Steve Rolls was throwing the jab, and he didn't seem to be too afraid of Gennady in that first round. In the second round, Steve Rolls comes out, and he had a pretty good round. He was moving backwards somewhat in the first round, but in that second round, he began to come forward. I think he was trying to show Golovkin that he wasn't afraid of him and that he was there for a fight, and there for a long night. Once Gennady got warmed up, I loved the left hook. I love that the fact that he's still going to the body, left hooks to the body, right hands to the body, upstairs and then downstairs, mixing up his attack, trying to go around the guard, trying to punch through the guard, kind of remind us of the Golovkin from a few years ago. The cons would be he looks slower to me. Gennady looks just that little bit slower that you see in a fighter when he's starting to age. When he's not as quick, he's not as shifty as he once was. Gennady still has good craft, still has good technique, but he did seem to be a little bit slower to me, and he did seem to get popped with more punches than usual. Now, some of you might think Gennady, gets hit with punches, but to me, Steve Rolls, a pretty much novice fighter at 35 years old and 19 wins, was landing some good right hands on him, and he was landing that jab. As far as Steve Rolls go, the positives would be that he got in there with one of the best middleweights of the last 10 years. He looked like he was willing to fight. For the most part, he was coming forward, and he was trying. It seemed at least he really believed that he was trying to pull that Andy Ruiz upset. The cons would be he was backing against the ropes. Gennady can still punch. As George Foreman once said, the last thing to go is your power. That's the same way that he knocked Michael Moore out back in 1994. The power is the last thing to go. And Steve Rolls should have stayed away from the ropes and kept that fight in the middle of the ring. Of course, if you saw it in the fourth round, Golovkin hits him, he stuns him. Steve Rolls comes back, and he ducked way down, which allowed Gennady to hit him with a overhand right that caught him behind the left ear. Once you get hit with that punch, a lot of times your equilibrium is going to be gone. His was. He backed up against the ropes. Gennady went to the body on him a couple of times. Then he came up with that with a left hook. Steve Rolls tried to duck and come up, and Gennady caught him with that brutal left hook, smack on the chin, put him down on his face. That was the end of the fight. So now, what do you have for Golovkin next? Apparently, it's going to be Alvarez. At least that's the fight that he called out for. I was thinking maybe he would get another, I would say a tune-up fight, but somebody of a little bit better caliber in the ring in September. But it seems that he's going to be dead set on fighting Alvarez a third time. Look, as much as I like Golovkin, I didn't see anything in that fight that made me think that he's ready to take out a young Canelo Alvarez. We got to remember, Canelo Alvarez is in his prime. He's in his prime years. Golovkin is past his prime. He's past his best days. He's still a very good fighter, but he is not the prime fighter he was 5 and 6 years ago. Best case for Gennady would be this. He and Jonathan Banks put together a plan where he's going to be very patient, not look for the knockout against Alvarez, and do a lot of body work. If he can back Saul up against the ropes. And when Saul goes into that Philly shell and he does the shoulder roll, you're not going to hit him up top. So start banging that body. Start going to that body. Kind of like De La Hoya did back in the day against Mayweather. You know, the head can move, but you can't move the body all that much. Start going to the body. Maybe then he'll wear Alvarez down. And maybe later in the fight, Saul will be feeling the pain from those body shots. He'll start to lower his hands. Then Golovkin could possibly, catch him with something, hurt him, maybe even knock him down. But to be honest, that's the only chance I see him win that fight. I think it's a long shot. I mean, Saul is young. He's going to be using that jab. He's gonna if he keeps the fight in the middle of the ring, I give Gennady no chance to win that fight. His best chance would be to be patient, to keep moving, and to hopefully get Alvarez backed up against the ropes. And like I said, work that body and eventually the head to come forward, and that would be his best chance to win. So apparently that may be what we're getting, people, in September. If that's the case, I guess we'll just see what happens then. Like I said, I would love to see him fight another fight, even if it's relatively before September. Somebody to get in the ring to get that rust off. But apparently he's going to go for the golden goose, and that is Saul Alvarez. That's all I got. Give me your comments. Let me know what you think about it. Catch y'all later.